I'm going to take it live. I'm going to do it all live. I'm going to tune it all up live. Yes, we're live. We're talking booze here. Lots and lots of booze. Good rums. Everyone likes rum, right?
Oh, if people don't like rum, there's something wrong with them, man.
Absolutely. Although I seem to see, it seems to be that a lot of people like bourbons or whiskeys. And it's like,
I like whiskey, the good whiskeys.
even the good whiskeys, I'm not overly fond of.
Well, it depends on the kind of whiskey you get. I mean, my favorite whiskey is spiced box whiskey, which is...
Is that whiskey? That sounds like something cheap, like boxed wine.
No, actually, spiced box whiskey, it's more of a... the fancy beers that have flavors in them, what do you call them? Not artist, but...
Artisan beers?
I guess artisan?
Small batch breweries?
I guess. Well, that's what spice box whiskey is. It's an artisan whiskey, and it's actually really good because they use an older whiskey, but they flavor it, so it's really smooth, and it has a bit of a sweetness to it, and the burn that most whiskeys have is very minimal in this stuff. It's not cheap. I only buy it like once a year.
Oh, okay.
But it's... I love that stuff, and what's really cool, if you put it in Coke... It makes the Coke taste like vanilla Coke.
Oh, well, that'd be interesting.
It is so cool. The first time I had it in Coca-Cola, man, I felt like I'd been brought back to my teen years of drinking vanilla Coke.
Well, that works well.
Squirrel! Bullshit!
There we go. All right. So, yeah, we've... like the booze. I like the whiskeys. We were discussing, or not whiskeys, but the rums. We were discussing some not very expensive. There's actually, I seen one in the liquor store the other day. It was $110 for a bottle of rum.
Wow, what kind of rum is it? Like 50-year-old rum?
I have no idea. I'm gonna have to look that one over again, because most expensive rums usually only range up to around the $70 range for a bottle.
Yeah.
Because rum is not become in fashion. I really dread the day that rum becomes the drink of the
oh, that would suck.
Of the fad people. What happened to those who like bourbon? Like someone I knew who really liked bourbon a lot, and it was really cheap for a while. It was easily found. Then all of a sudden, it became in fashion for all the millennials. It was their new go-to drink. Everyone had to drink bourbon, and so they had shortages of it, and the price of it skyrocketed. And it's like So I'm really hoping that doesn't happen to rum.
I've had bourbon before. I'm not really a fan.
No, well, what it is the way it's described to me is if you think you sort of like whiskeys, but they're not sweet enough, that's when you go to bourbon. Because bourbon's sweeter than whiskey. Bourbon and whiskey are actually whiskeys. Bourbon's actually a whiskey. It's just sweeter.
Oh, so spice box whiskey would be a good go-to if you don't really like the bourbon.
Probably.
Because it does have more sweetness than regular whiskeys. I don't like a lot of whiskeys, so really rum is my favorite thing.
Oh, I absolutely love rum. Lots of rums. What I'm seeing really cool here is here on the island we've got some of the distilleries here that are now producing RUMBs. For some reason they don't call them rum, RUM. I'm still trying to figure that one out. Why they call them rumba instead of rum.
That's an old English spelling.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, it's an old English spelling. I don't know why the B is there.
Yeah.
Maybe someone couldn't pronounce it properly when they were writing down the name. Who knows?
But they're making rums out of things like honey, and I'm trying to think of the others. Which of course, rum is nothing but distilled sugar. So
yeah, the honey rum, I've had that. Oh wow, that stuff is so good.
I think I had a shot of it when you had a bottle of that. Somebody gave you a bottle for Christmas, and I had a shot of it. Yeah, it's not bad.
I've looked at the price in the store. Wow, that was a hell of a gift.
It's expensive. it's like $60 or $50 or $60, but it's not even a full 750 ml bottle.
I know.
It's like a 500 ml bottle.
Yeah.
Which means it's not even a complete.
Actually, it's not even 500. It's 450.
Yeah, which means it's it's not even what do they call them? The 500 mils or they're 750 mils or Mickeys.
Mickey's, I think so.
Yeah, so it's not even a full Mickey. It's not even a half a Mickey, or it's barely over half a Mickey.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, at that price, well, I can sort of understand it, but it seems a bit high to me. So I haven't justified it. The bottles are cool though. I do like their bottles.
I find it interesting that we're also getting like the into jars. What is that stuff?
Yeah.
The stuff that people used to make in the friggin' bathtubs during the
gin.
Yes. And it's coming in jars.
Yes. Yeah. Well, moonshine is becoming in style too.
Oh, that too. Yeah. Moonshine and gin in these fancy jars with like writing etched into it. And wow, the price.
Got to give them something cool to look at.
I guess. But I tried gin once. I felt like I was drinking perfume.
All the dials and pegs have been played with, and we're coming up to near time for us to pull in the music and get everyone wound up and ready. That was an interesting pre-show talking about booze.
Hey man, that's what pre-show is for. Talk about cool stuff.
Whatever happens in pre-show stays in pre-show.
Exactly.
All right, so we're coming down to the wire here, and let's kick off some music here so you guys can hear my lovely singing that I've been told my granddaughter likes, but I think she can't tell a good tune from a bad tune. That would be my guess. Off we go.
To know your story, don't even have my own. In the search for glory, gone with them sacred rules of old. They went missing down Highway 49.
There it is.
Devil's at the crossroads, sitting doing time.
Hey, fix it without mucking up mine. Awesome.
Preacher man discovered, passed down from saint to sage, like a kind-hearted lover who's been lost on this stage. Went missing down Highway 49. Devil's at the crossroads, sitting doing time.
Maybe it's the Fae.
Not saying they are the answer, not saying they're right or wrong. I ain't no Texan dancer, well, move me right along. Went missing down Highway 49. Devil's at the crossroads, sitting doing time. Chunky and the chigger just seen who done the crime. Captain pulled the trigger, guess who's doing time? They went missing down Highway 49. Devil's at the crossroads, is he yours or is he mine?
Definitely mine. Nailed it.
Don't claim to know your story, don't even have my own. In our search for glory, gone with them sacred rules of old. They went missing down Highway 49. Devil's at the crossroads, sitting doing time. Devil's at a crossroads, Joker's doing fine. Just sitting doing time.
Yeah. Alrighty, well, it's just about showtime, and for those of you who missed it, go back and check out the pre-show. It was a good discussion about rum and other boozes. Lots and lots of fun. Let's get this thing all wound up and tweak this puppy's nose and set off on a quest of glory. Well, whatever you want to call it. Let's see if we've got it all. All right, let's take that to the live screen. All right, let's wind her all up.
You need a wind-up noise.
I do. Do I have one? No, I don't know if I have one.
Just record the wind-up noise when you're going fishing
There we
sometime.
go. No, that one won't work. Let's go this one.
That works.
We'll use that. That's our wind-up noise. All right, let's go wind this puppy up. Too many aces. It's episode 482 with plugins for social sharing, downgrading, in the box, security, Samhaim or Samhaim,
Samhaim
decorations, and ClassicPress options, all coming up on WordPress plugins from A to Z. WordPress. It's the most popular content management and website solution on the internet. And with over 80,000 plugins to choose from, how do you separate the junk from the gems? Join us for a weekly, unrehearsed conversation about the latest and greatest in WordPress plugins. This is WordPress Plugins from A to Z. Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you happen to be hiding out there on the globe today. Coming to you direct from the Brewery Overlook in beautiful Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. I'm John Overall, and with me is...
Amber overall.
The ever lovely. All right, now this we have great appreciation for the No Agenda show and the occasional stolen sound clip. Appreciate them for all their inspiration of ideas and everything else. This is a value for value show, and I look forward to everyone providing some value back. Before I get too started along the line, you will want to hang around to the end of the show for a segment we started a couple of shows ago, and that is with Amber asking questions. For those of you who might be listening on the podcast version, you will want to pop over to the YouTube version to hear the rest of it, because we cut it off about midstream and split it so that the best part stays over on the YouTube channel. Eventually, that's going to go somewhere else, maybe into our Patreon area. So if we get some really good questions, you want the answers, you're going to have to pay for them eventually, since nobody's donating. But enough of that, let's get on with it. This is episode 41 of 51 episodes. It's almost hard to believe that it's 41 episodes now. When I started this countdown back at the beginning of the year, a lot was happening. As it is episode 482, and we are now only 10 weeks from the end of the year, the show has been moving in new directions over the last several episodes, in case you folks haven't noticed, and it seems to be getting more attention. We are 42 weeks into 2020 and 31 weeks of the Rona. I really find it hard to believe they're still pushing that crap on us, but I guess they need to keep the sheeple scared for some reason. Now is the time to turn away from social media and the M5M folks. You need to reclaim your sanity and life. Time to get out, meet and talk to real humans, relax, and don't be afraid of the world as it is. If you're afraid, you may as well just go hide and stay away from everybody. Find yourself an oasis like the one over at the Rogues Tavern, a place where you can check out from the world, unplug, and recharge your soul. Want to heal your soul? Well, here's a few short tips that'll help you heal your soul up in just a few short weeks. First, start out by minimizing or eliminating your M5M exposure. For those of you that don't know, M5M stands for mainstream media. The 5 comes from the old days when we actually used to use calculators, and that was our texting. Yeah, I'm dating myself there. Stop using face crack. Make your own little part of the world a better place to be. Inspire others around you to do the same. Don't worry about the things you can't control. Nothing you can do anyway. Stop accepting and doing the things that are not in your best interest. Work in your best interest, and at the same time respecting others and helping others. The rewards will follow. All right. Well, we do have some things happening.
Watch it, turn it, leave it, stop for man.
iPhone, schmyphone. The way I see it, the only good phone's a landline, and the phone should be made out of Bakelite.
That's right, everybody. Time for tech news. John, do we have tech news?
Oh, absolutely. We have tech news. But before we jump into the tech news this week, I wanted to have a little brief discussion about premium plugin licenses. This is something that I've been asked questions about recently, not only by clients, but by another developer or two. And something I wanted to talk to you about briefly is like we're headed into a new world for plugins. And this is something I saw, well, I didn't see this component until recently, but as when I first started this show over 8 years ago, when there was only 9,000 plugins available in the WordPress repository, and there wasn't much else, I started to see the rise of the freemium version of plugin. Well, what's happening now is I'm starting to see the trialware plugins. And what that is a plugin that arrives, you can use it for 30 days or something, fully functional. If you haven't done anything with it, it deactivates. You must put in a license. Now, there's probably going to be tricks and ways to avoid it, but eventually they're going to make it work the same way they did with premium plugins. For a long time, premium plugins, it was easy to bypass the licensing. Not so easy now. But this is going to be happening. But what I've come to appreciate, though, is in the beginning when premium plugins first got real busy, I used to buy the licenses for my clients as I was developing because it was easier. I'd buy the license, bill them for it, collect the money. It was easy peasy. Problem is, if your clients don't hang with you or you like to just develop and let it go, what'll happen a year down the road, they need that plugin license renewed, and now it's on your head. And now they have to go buy a license or figure it all out. And some of them are a real pain to change licenses on. I've noticed that on a few of them. It's like you have to uninstall it and reinstall it, and you could lose settings. There's a whole lot that goes on there. So what I started doing a couple 3 years ago was whenever I had a premium license needed for a project, I made my client buy the license. I gave them all the information, told them where to go buy it. They paid for the license, and I said, just send me either the login information for the account or send me the license keys as they get emailed to you. So this is what I wanted to talk about here to ensure that, if you're looking at premium licenses for your clients, ensure that you're not the one buying them because you're just adding a headache that you don't want to deal with a year, 2 years down the road when they're freaking out and you're the last person that touched it. Just my 2 cents, and plus I wanted to make mention of the trialware, which is up and coming, to prove that I'm from the future too.
Something else I wanted to add there is a lot of the plugins that you need to buy the license for, they also are starting to make it so you have to sign up with your email, and then they send you a verification code to your email, and then that's something else I've noticed a couple of times too. So if you're buying them, you're going to be getting the verification code and all that.
Yep.
And then next time that they have to do something where a verification code is needed, they have to get a hold of you so that you can get the verification code. If you're not even at home at that time, then it could just screw up everything.
Oh, yeah. Lots goes on there. So something to keep aware of. Okay, so news. On to the news. What have we got for news? We got some really interesting news this week. A couple of security things. The first one out the gate is 3 essential rules for WordPress code security. And this is a really good article from WP Kraken. And it discusses the sort of things you need to do in your code to improve your security. While I understand this, I skimmed through the article, and it does talk to you about certain types of coding to ensure that your site doesn't get hit with SQL injections and other issues that you can do. They talk a lot about cross-site scripting attacks and other miscellaneous pieces. You'll want to check out this article if you're doing development of code or building plugins.
I only read a little bit of this. I just skimmed through it, and mostly I noticed the whole don't trust user input. Being paranoid is the only valid strategy.
Well, being paranoid is the only valid strategy on the internet, period. You must always be paranoid.
But I was taken aback for a moment because I realized, wait, people have to be told that? And then I realized, oh yeah, people do have to be told that these days.
They do have to be told that they need to be paranoid these days. They've become very lax. And the next piece of information we've got for you today is an article about something happening with WooCommerce. They're testing out a new Instagram shopping checkout feature, It's currently in closed beta, but this is a really cool feature if you're running a WooCommerce shop where people in their Instagram can check out through, you can promote it through your Instagram, they see it, they can check out through their Instagram to your shop. It's currently in beta only in the United States, but it will be coming to other areas soon, I'm sure. As soon as they get the bugs worked out, this will be coming to multiple areas. This could be another avenue for those of you running a WooCommerce site, another avenue for you to get sales. So it's a really good article. You'll want to check this out. You might want to set up some follows on this stuff to follow up on this stuff if you're running a WooCommerce site.
This could be really useful.
It could be very useful if you're selling all kinds of stuff, because Instagram, lots of people use Instagram, photos, looking at cool stuff. I'm just beginning to use Instagram for the Rogues Tavern. So it may or may not be beneficial, but it's one area that I don't mind going into for social media because I just look at some pictures and I'm gone.
And my partner's he'll get trapped on that.
Yeah.
He'll even forget to drink his coffee.
Oh, that's sad. That's sad.
It is. Well, it's because he finds tools.
Oh, okay. So he finds tool porn.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's better than porn, but. All right. What we got next here for you? Next piece of news here is WordPress caching, the essential guide. This is an article from iThemes, and it's talking about all the different types of caching available in WordPress. And it's something we'll hit in a future show. I think Amber said something about bringing up a question about caching, so we can talk about caching. But if you want to understand caching for WordPress a bit better, go check out this article. It's pretty decently in depth. Long read, but it does talk about all the different types of caching, because there's more than just caching plugins or, I can't remember that massive firewall, Cloudflare. More than that, there's more types of caching, like WordPress itself has caching in it, etc. So something you will want to check out.
And the best thing about this is it uses human words rather than geek words.
Yeah.
Well, not to say that geeks aren't human, but...
Well, geeks aren't human. There ain't none of us human. We're the oddballs. If it wasn't for the geeks, the world wouldn't exist as it does now.
Well, we're not lizard people, as I've been accused before.
Well, we might be.
Well, you might be.
I'm not going to tell. That's a secret. Well kept. Okay. Next article we got for you is WordPress can now turn blog posts into tweet storms automatically.
This seems like a bad idea.
It does seem like a very bad idea. I was reading the article, and there's somebody in here who wants to turn a 2,500 word article into a tweet storm.
It just seems like
And I'm
such
thinking,
a bad
oh
idea.
man, this is going to be interesting. It's not a new, but a plugin that can help you turn your blog posts into tweet storms. I'm not certain how it works, but I thought it would be an interesting piece of information for those using Twitter and tweeting out from their website. So something you'll want to check into, and you'll want to read this thoroughly.
It's a good idea if you don't have like a 3-page essay style post, but
Yeah, well, 25,000 words, We'll tweet it out as a tweet storm. It's going to destroy Twitter even more than it already is.
yeah.
Okay, so the next one I've got here for you, this is a little bit of piece of information. This is outside of WordPress. This is just a information article to tell you Chrome has been undergoing a 0-day active attack over the last couple days. If you haven't updated your Chrome browser, you need to do that ASAP. And basically how you update a Chrome browser is you shut it off and restart it, and it updates all by itself. There's not much you can do about updates for Chrome. You shut it off and restart it. So if you've had it running for several days, you haven't shut it off and restarted it, do that as soon as you can.
Is it called New Chrome 0-Day?
No, that's what the title is, but it's a 0-day infection, or a 0-day flaw, and 0-day means that flaw has existed since Chrome was first written.
Oh,
that's what day. What 0-day flaw means is that flaw has existed since the very beginning of the code, and nobody discovered that.
Makes me glad I don't use Chrome.
And it's a flaw that a good hacker may have discovered a long time ago and has been silently using. And recently it was discovered as a flaw, so it needs to be dealt with.
Wow.
Zero day are usually the worst possible flaws.
Yeah, I could see that.
All right, the next one here, this is something sort of near and dear to my heart, as I used to be in my previous life, a mechanic, and I have done some race car driving on the oval circuits and whatnot. But this is the story of the great Cannonball Race boom. Anyone who doesn't know what the Cannonball Race is just needs to go look it up. But the Cannonball Race was something that was started somewhere, I believe, in the 60s or 70s. And it's the race coast to coast of the United States as fast as possible. Well, there was a sudden boom in this race for people going, hey, wait a minute. All the roads have no traffic on them. Everybody's in quarantine and lockdown. I bet we can break the 27-hour record. And sure enough, several people broke the records from New York to LA during the quarantine lockdowns of the early months of the virus. So it's a great article, lots of fun. Basically, it's just fun describing the crazy, insane people who fill their entire cars with gasoline and put the pedal to the metal and drive coast to coast.
This is a really well-written one. It's fun to read.
Yeah, it's really fun to read. I rather enjoyed it. It was a good article. All right, let's move along then. This show here is a value for value show, and I realize I don't talk often enough about what value for value means. I do say, if you get value out of it, give some value back. I've been asked why are we using it? Why don't we have advertising? Why don't we have affiliate links, etc.? Well, I have tried those. I've tried advertising. I've tried affiliate links. And affiliate links could probably be good, but they take up a lot of time to maintain them, keep them up to date, to make sure they're always working, etc. Because affiliate links change, products change, things like that. Then collecting off them. The advertising model, well, you heard my rant at the beginning. As soon as I start doing that, most advertisers are going to disown me.
Not to mention, we couldn't talk about booze.
What's that? Boobs.
We wouldn't be able to talk about booze.
Booze. Yeah, we could talk about booze. It is a podcast after all. But there's lots of things, lots of reasons why I don't have advertisers. Plus, there was a time where I was negotiating with a big-time plugin for advertising on the site. And when it came down to them paying the bill, they wanted to pay me in some really odd sort of way with different benefits, not direct cash. And it's like, no, it was too much. And I finally just said, no, you're just not worth the effort. It's just too much insanity for me to take advertisers. And then I have to toe too many lines. And I like to be offensive when I want to be offensive and not worry about what happens. So basically the show makes no money, but that's okay because I still get other benefits. Eventually people will show up that will see a value in it and provide us with everything we need, such as...
We just need cash.
I know a lot of people want to send blankets or water. Just send your cash.
But if you can't send cash, there's lots of other ways to help the show out. You can help the show out by sending in artwork. We have one person who sends in a lot of artwork on a regular basis. You hear his name more than anyone else. We have another person that sends in occasional pieces, and we've had the occasional odd piece. We could definitely use more artwork. I would love to make it a contest each week as to which artwork I choose, who gets to present their art. There's lots of other things you can do, and this is the point in the show where I like to recognize, give executive producer credits to those who support the show with $50 or more each week, or just acknowledge those that come in under $50. And we haven't had an executive producer for several months now. For a while, we had lots of them, but I've been looking it out right now, and one of the things I'm doing, I'm going to pimp out my kid here, my daughter. And it's like, if you want to see her lovely mug on the screen, well, you can either sign up for our newsletter and see her lovely mug there. But if you want to see her live on the show, we need a donation of $100 minimum for somebody requesting that I go through the effort to set up the camera to get her on the show. So that can be done. But this is also the point where I like to recognize the artwork that came in. Again, it's from Angel Lamu of Koa Digital. So thank you, Angel. I greatly appreciate it. He sent in some great artwork. It's the inspiration for today's title. If you're looking at the live stream or the YouTube video, you're getting a sneak preview of the artwork before it goes live. And it's a nice set of cards with an ace in it and some nice workings of the WP Plugins logo and a John Overall logo.
You know what I would like to see in art? I'd love for someone to send in something with dice.
Dice would be cool.
I love dice.
Dice would definitely be cool. Those would be really cool. So a big thank you out there to Angel Lamu, and a big thank you to all you small producers that provide us with a couple of small subscription of under $50. You know who you are, so thank you very much. They don't give us any money, but they do slightly help offset the costs of this show. And a big thank you to those who have hired me after listening to the show. That's as good as donating to the show, because that's where most of my money comes from this show, is people hire me after listening to the show. Right, so if you want to support, all the links are in the show notes. Go check it out, wpplugins a2z.com/donate to find out all the information you need. I'm going to have to come up with a cool thing to play for that. All right, this is where we move on to the part of the show that everyone shows up for. It is time for us to dive into the depths of plugin depravity. Okay, first off, we like to talk about ClassicPress options. Although we haven't had any options in quite a while, I haven't had time to do any ClassicPress research. Any of you listeners out there, my producers out there that use ClassicPress, please provide me some information for ClassicPress, and I will get it into the show notes. Right now, all I have is the links in the show notes for all the ClassicPress resources. You can go check those out if you like. Okay, well, let's move on into WordPress plugins. And the first one I have this week for you is called Lightbox with PhotoSwipe. Okay, what we have here for Lightbox with PhotoSwipe, this is a plugin that I had to use while I was working on a current project that I needed a Lightbox to pop up for all the photos. I was really quite surprised that a modern theme, Divi, crap, using a Divi theming system, that it didn't have an automatic Lightbox in it. It's like, really? Seriously, Divi? What kind of crap are you? All right. This one here, very simple and easy to load up. Pops in, brings it up, allows all your photos to pop up in a really good, clean Lightbox that's easy to set up. Has a few settings to tweak it, to refine it just a little bit. Not a lot of settings, but I did enjoy it, and it is free, and it worked great, and it made the Divi system actually look better. So I had to give this one a 5 dragon rating. Go check it out, Lightbox with PhotoSwipe. Before we dive into Amber's plugin, I wanted to touch on the thing from Hemdian, which I should have caught earlier. The new version of the MS Edge browser uses Chrome under the hood, called Chromium. It's also affected by this zero-day attack. Oh, good to know. I didn't know that. Thanks a lot, Hemdian.
That's good to know.
If you use Microsoft Edge, make sure you update that too. I don't use Microsoft Edge, so I use Firefox.
I do use Microsoft Edge. Thank you. I will do that.
Yeah, I didn't realize. I forgot that they moved to the Chromium browser, or Chromium underlay. So thanks a lot. All right, so Amber's next plugin.
All right, so my first plugin is Simple Halloween Decoration for your page. It's actually pretty creepy one. Unless you like bugs. If you like bugs, this one's totally
Spiders.
for you.
Ugh.
Spiders and flying bugs.
Well, flying bugs not so bad. Spiders.
Yeah. And it's actually amazing how realistic these things look. Like, I tested it out, and as soon as I saw these creepy crawlies going across my screen, I got the shivers and had to turn it off immediately.
That's what you do to the bugs.
Absolutely, man. So this one is really cool. Total freebie. It's a little odd to get going, though. Once you have the plugin activated, you actually need to go into your sidebar settings, click on Halloween, and then you get the options whether you want bugs or spiders or both of these creepy crawlies crawling across your pages on your sites. It appears on everything on your site, so be warned. Once you turn it on, it's on. You can turn it off immediately, though. I highly recommend this for the creepy factor for Halloween. I rate it 5 dragons.
Excellent. Yeah, well, creepy factor for your website. Hemdian followed up on that. Okay, he was asking. I misread his question. He's asking, well, if it's using Chromium as an underlay, I imagine it is. See if they've got an update. Everyone's talking about the Chrome browser, so Chrome to me is always the Google browser, but I forgot that Microsoft went to the Chromium underlay. So it may be. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I was talking backwards, but I would still double check if you're using Edge. Okay, the next plugin I've got for you here is called WP Hide and Security Enhancer. Now, this is a plugin I discovered when I was looking over a client's website that I had to do some updates on. And I like to look through their plugins. Whenever I get a new project, I look through their plugins, see if there's something cool, different, or new, or a different version of something I'm already using. And this is a hide and security enhancer plugin, and it works fairly well, except for it's got a fair number of complex settings in it where you can go through and you can adjust not only your login URL, your administration URL, your block default admin URL, your your XML RPC path. There's a whole lot of adjustments that this plugin can do, and it actually had me slightly confused at first when I was trying to get into this one website and I'm looking at the URLs for the dashboard and other things, and it was, once I understood it, I was fine, but initially it was a little on the confusing side. So really great plugin, but because of the complexity of everything that can go on with it, and I'm looking at how much can go wrong with it, because I don't only think about what it can do for you, but what can be its problems. It seems with this kind of complexity, it's real easy to lock yourself out of a website. And unless you have the understanding of FTP and how to disable plugins, I get people calling me up and say, I'm locked out of my website. I get their FTP and poof, they're no longer locked out because I can disable a plugin. But this is an important aspect of it. So for those reasons alone, I'm going to have to give this a 4-dragon rating. Go check it out. It's WP Hide and Security Enhancer.
And the next one I got for you is ShareMe Simple Social Share Plugin. Wow, that's a tongue twister when you say it out loud. All right, so this one is hot off the press. Less than 10 downloads. It seems like it would be very useful for those who need social media, especially with all those changes we've been hearing about. I think this one kind of circumvents things. This one is actually really easy. It's pretty awesome. It's another free, or it's a total freebie, and all you do is download it, activate it, and it places itself at the bottom of every one of your posts and pages. It's actually really cool. It's not too big, not too small. You notice it, but it doesn't interfere with everything on your page. It doesn't take over. So there's really not much to say about it. It's very easy, very useful. I rate it at 5 dragons.
Very nice. Well, this is just a social share button one. Mm-hmm. Does it have an adjustments in it to go in there and change the social share buttons that are shown, or? No,
there's no settings, no nothing.
So it always has the Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest. Yeah. I'm not sure what the other one is, and then email. Okay.
Yeah, it does always have those, which is really great for people who are just starting, people who are just getting everything out there. I mean, eventually upgrade to a better one, but this is really good to get you going.
It is, unless of course you have a decent quality theme, which will put them in there for you.
That's true.
Yeah. So this is a really good item. So go check it out. Okay. Next up, I have for you a plugin that I found extremely interesting when I discovered it, and it was on a site that I was doing some updates for. And what it is it's called WP Downgrade Specific Core Version. And what this one does for you is once you turn it on and activate it and you go to the settings page, you can choose whatever version of WordPress you want to be the version of WordPress for your website. And it ensures that nobody can upgrade that website again with a different version. If they do force an upgrade somewhere along the way, the plugin pops up and says, hey, we need to downgrade. And you can pop into the plugin, click a button, and it will automatically downgrade you back to that version.
Oh, that's cool.
How it worked for me, I was doing this upgrade on a site, and I thought, well, this is a site here I need to bring up to WordPress. It was, I can't remember what version it was. It was 5 point something, early 5 or 4.9 on it. And I brought it up to the latest version of WordPress. Well, all of a sudden, certain coding on the site didn't work. And I went, oh, okay, that's why it's here. So I used it to downgrade back to the previous version. All of a sudden, the site worked perfectly again. So the site is not ready to be moved to the next version. But I did find this to be a very useful tool to help you downgrade backwards with WordPress without that hassle of having to FTP all the files back up to the website.
That is cool.
Yeah, very useful, nice and free. So I had to give this one a 5 dragon rating.
And the last one I've got is another one fresh off the press for you. It's called HelloWoofy.com. And it's not about dogs. It's actually a pretty awesome new little plugin. Total freebie. And what it does is it auto-posts your blogs on a schedule for you. I mean, I know there's a lot of plugins out there that do this, but this one, I think they kind of just made it more simple, because a couple of the other plugins I've checked out were a little beyond me when I was just starting in this. This one, you do have to make an account with HelloWoofy.com in order to get it working, which I don't entirely like, but it is worth it. It's actually, once you make your account, you activate the plugin, it's very easy, very straightforward, and it's really awesome to have. I would especially recommend it for beginners. Go and check this out. If there are any glitches, let me know. Rate it 5 dragons.
Excellent. Yeah, I was looking at that. It looked like it'd be really useful for someone to do their marketing off of their website.
Marketing or anything.
Yeah. Okay, this show currently brought to you by...
Are you tired of the same old web hosting? Not having the resources you need to run your website properly? Having a lack of control? Then you need johnoverall.com web hosting, providing you with all the resources you need to smoothly run your WordPress website or ClassicPress website. With strict limits on the number of clients allowed per server, johnoverall.com provides high quality, fast server performance. Visit johnoverall.com for web hosting that won't slow you down.
Absolutely. As occasionally former clients find out when they leave my hosting and go somewhere else, all of a sudden they've got grief and they're calling me back asking if I'll take them back. Recently happened. So fantastic hosting that doesn't slow you down. Check it out. It's exclusive. I don't let anyone sign up for my hosting. I'm very picky about the clients I choose. Okay. We do have contests. Yay, we're back in contest time again. Thank you, Charlie. Our contests are powered by the Simple Giveaways plugin. These guys are kind enough to provide us with a license to run our contests. So thanks a lot to you guys. I greatly appreciate it. It's a great plugin if you're going to run contests on your website. So go check it out. So what do we got for you? We have for you a plugin called Fluent CRM, a self-hosted email marketing automation plugin. This is a really cool plugin. Manage your leads and customers, email campaigns, automated email sequencing, learner and affiliate management, and monitor user activities and many more in one place without ever having to leave your WordPress dashboard. So you can do all this inside your WordPress dashboard. A few of the features included in this plugin are email campaign management, email sequencing, 360-degree view, while integrating with several third-party tools and a few webhook connectors. The license we're giving away is a lifetime license. Now, lifetime licenses are not available. They do not sell them. This is a special licensing that they're giving us to give to you. And it is worth $129 a year. So it is highly valuable. So you will want to sign up for this contest ASAP. Contest is now live on the website. Go check them out. Fluent CRMs. It's find out more about the plugin, then come back over to wpplugins.com/contest to sign up for the contest. Enter and win, and then share it out to everyone and let them all know.
That sounds like a really cool plugin.
It's a really cool plugin for email and marketing. You know, I may have to sign up for the contest myself just to see if I can win it, to get my marketing person something she could use. All right, so go check this out, folks. Really great contest. And thanks again to Charlie for all the hard work he's doing on the contests for us. We've actually got 3 more contests in the queue, almost all completely ready. We may have to run some of them side by side to keep them going. So thank you very much. And that's what value for value means. Somebody providing something for the show because they're helping to support the show. So thank you very much, Charlie. Greatly appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Closing up this episode, we'll close out a couple of things, and then we'll get into Q&A. I covered up plugins in this episode. The Lightbox with PhotoSwipe, which I gave a 5 to. The WP Hide and Security Enhancer, which I gave a 4 to. And the WP Downgrade and for a specific core version, which I gave a 5 to.
And I covered Simple Halloween Decoration for your page, which I gave a 5. ShareMe Simple ShareMe Simple Social Share Plugin. There we go.
That's why it's all S's.
Which I also gave a 5 to. And HelloWoofy.com, which I gave a 5.
Very nice. That's, well, I blew it, As I said, too many aces, man.
It's all your fault.
All my fault. I should have said not enough aces. All right. Couple of quick reminders before we move into Q&A. No meetups yet, so we'll talk about those when they show up. If you would like to be on an interview for this show, well, you may have to wait in line. We've got several of them lined up over the next few weeks. That's, again, thanks to Charlie helping getting all these developers to set up times for interviews with me. So you're going to see lots of interviews coming up in the next few weeks that will be released with different developers. So look to that happening. If you have suggestions and whatnot, please go over to wpplugins.com/contact to submit all that stuff. So what did we figure out? Yeah, it's time for question and answer time.
I don't think that was the same one, but it works.
That works. That's where it's at. It's question and answer time with Amber. And we'll partway through this, we'll drop it out for the podcast version, play the credits, and then we'll continue it after for those on YouTube.
All right, so the first question I got for you is, how do you find the plugin you're looking for? Is there like a trick to the keyword or something like that?
Searching for a plugin in WordPress core in the WordPress repository. Yes, this is a challenge because, as everyone knows, WordPress has the very best search function in the world. I'm pretty sure the sarcasm came through. So yeah, WordPress's search is not very good. They don't even find it if you typo it. And what's really funny sometimes is you can use the exact name of the plugin and it'll be 2 pages buried in there.
Yep.
Which makes no sense unless that list is curated by somebody. That's the only way it can be. And sometimes I look at it and it's curated. A couple of years ago it was much easier and it used to pop things up real easy. But in the last year or so, I've noticed it's been difficult to find what you're looking for. And one of the best ways I do that is I do use keywords. It's all keywords. Or if you know the plugin developer, the plugin name, or the plugin author. Oftentimes you can get it to the top of the list by using the plugin author's name.
Oh, that I didn't know.
Yeah, it does pick up the plugin author's name in there. And you just got to pick at it and choose keywords. If you choose a keyword that doesn't produce anything, you find some other word in that thing. I use anywhere from 1 to 3 keywords when I'm searching for a plugin that I don't really know precisely what I want. What's entertaining, though, is sometimes you'll put in a keyword for something and you'll get a list of plugins that aren't even related to what you're looking for.
Yeah, I've had that happen.
Sometimes they look cool, and so I usually save the link somewhere to go check them out because it's like, hey, that one's interesting. Not something I can use now, but might be later. So you got to pay attention to the results because sometimes results return something totally useless.
Well, how do you use more than one keyword? Do you like put a comma or?
No, you just type in 2 words in a sentence. Type a sentence.
Okay, so
like you're searching in Google.
Well, in Google, you have to put commas between separated keywords. Otherwise, you won't find most of what you're looking for. It'll just take it as one sentence and search for that sentence. Yeah. So I'm wondering if it's the same kind of idea.
Oh, you could probably type in a comma to separate keywords.
Okay.
I never tried that. I usually just type in the keywords and I get what I want. I type it as basically like a sentence. Just type, C spot run, and that's basically what I get. So.
All right. Well, that's definitely helpful. Thank you. My next question is, how do you connect posts into categories that you make for them?
Okay, well, we'll take this one. How do you connect posts into categories that you make for them?
Yes.
Can you define that question a little bit? It's not making complete sense.
Okay.
What do you mean connect post into the categories?
Like, say I had a site where I have a bunch of posts that are about, we'll say, handmade weapons, and a bunch of posts that are about furniture, wooden furniture and metal furniture.
Okay.
Now, how do I take those three groups and how do I connect them to the categories that, like the weapons, wood, and metal?
Okay, so that makes a little more sense. So what you're looking at is when you've created a post, over in the right-hand column, you have a listing of the categories. If you don't see a listing of categories in the editing window for it, you have to create a category. Once you create the category for that post, and if you've got handmade weapons and wood furniture, two separate categories for your post, and your post only applies to one category, you tick the box for the handmade weapons. But if it's handmade weapons and wood furniture, such as maybe a wooden sword throne, you can tick both boxes for it.
So you just tick a box and that's it?
You tick a box and that's it, and it sticks it in that category. It's that simple and straightforward.
Okay.
And then when you want to call up those categories, you call up those specific categories for the slug that those categories use.
Okay, so if it's not working, then what's going on? Do you know?
Not without looking at it.
Too bad.
I would have to look at it because every little issue with a website like that is individual to each website. It could be something with the theme, could be something with the website itself, could be something on the plugins. Something's interfering is basically what's happening.
Okay, well that leads me to my next question. How do you figure out what's going on with the site page when you can't really figure it out? Like say there's an issue with the font or coloring of the page somewhere and you can't fix it by working on the page.
Okay. Well, I think we'll hold right here. We'll split it out and we'll play out our end of show credits, and we'll pick it up right after the end of show credits for this. So those of you on the podcast, make sure you come join us over on YouTube to hear the answer to that question. All right, well, let's let my girl play us out of here. But before I do that, this is where I actually get to have my tequila shot that I've been forgetting every show. Before the end of show credits, I'm supposed to have the tequila shot. So I'm going to drink it while my girl plays us out.
Reminders for the show. All show notes can be found at wppluginsa-z.com. And while you're there, subscribe to the newsletter for more useful information delivered directly to your inbox. WP Plugins A to Z is a show that offers honest and unbiased reviews of plugins created by developers because you support the show. Help keep the show honest and unbiased by going to wppluginsa-z.com/donate and set the donation level that fits your budget. Help us make the show better for you by subscribing and reviewing the show at Stitcher Radio, Google Play, and in the iTunes Store. You can also leave us a review on our Facebook page using wppluginsa-z.com/Facebook. You can also watch the show live on YouTube, check out the screencasts and training videos, and remember to subscribe and hit the bell to get notifications of all new videos. Follow the show on Twitter at WPPluginsA to Z. John can also be reached at his website, johnoverall.com, or email him directly, john@wppro.ca. Thanks for joining us and have a great day.
Thanks for listening to the show. This show is copyright by johnoverall.com. So until next time, have yourselves a good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you happen to be out there on the globe today.
Alrighty, so we'll pick it up after that point there. And the question was, what do you do when you can't figure out on a page? Are you talking about trying to figure it out from the back end or the front end?
Back end.
Okay, there's really not a lot you can. What kind of issue are you talking about in the back end?
Well, say you're building a page and you can't figure out why this font color isn't changing, or why this font isn't, why the font itself isn't changing for you when you try to fix it up.
Well, the back end often doesn't show you what the front end is going to show you. Okay, You're looking at two different views between the back end and the front end of WordPress. Okay, because your front end of your WordPress is controlled via the CSS of your website.
Okay.
The back end is not. It's all plain, simple text. You can apply lots of styles and everything in the back end, but you won't always see them in the back end editor. You actually have to then view the page to see if you're getting the changes on that page in the front end.
Okay.
If you're, because what happens in the back end is usually plain, simple, straightforward, but the underlying code doesn't get applied until the page is rendered in the front end with the theme, the CSS files, and the other JavaScripts that go with the front end. It's two separate sets of scripts that run the front end and the back end of the site. So if you're looking for a specific issue, you have to basically have two browser tabs open, one in the back end where you're editing, one on the front end where you're constantly refreshing it. And remembering to clear your cache on a continual basis, because your local cache can make it look like nothing's changing, and you go, why isn't it changing? And you go, oh duh, clear my cache. You clear your cache, hit refresh, and all of a sudden all those changes that you worked on are there. Been there, done that. Still do it on a regular basis, because you just get so focused you forget that the local cache of your browser is a real pain in the ass sometimes. So you got to constantly clear it when you're developing.
Okay, because I know there's something that you've shown me before. I just can't remember what it is.
For clearing the cache?
No, for checking out something when the page isn't working right and you can't figure out why. Like, you know.
Oh, that's when you use on the front end of the site.
Oh, okay. I always thought that was on the back end.
No, that's on the front end, because you're looking for the CSS. Because what you're talking about here, font colors, coloring of the page, font sizes, etc., that's the CSS that is applied to the fonts on the front end of the site. It's not always applied to the back end. Some of them on the back end it will apply it, but most of the time it's always going to be the front end. You'll make the changes in the back end, but you won't see them always. Some themes you can see it in the back end, some you can't. But it's always going to be there on the front end if your CSS is correct. And what you're talking about is using the developer tools.
Okay.
Those are brought up on virtually every browser by hitting the F12 key. You hit F12 key from any browser. Let's take, for example, well, we're sitting here at Fluent CRM. We can hit F12 and we pop it up, and then we can pop over here and bring over what's happening on their website. We've got an inspector tool to tell us what's happening. The inspector allows us to see all the CSS that's being applied to any specific div tag or component on the page. Console tells us if they're having errors on the page, which they are having some errors, cookies and other things. Debugger tells us if there's any code having issues. Style editors, there's a lot you can do with these tools. I don't use them to their fullest extent, but I do use them to an effective use. And I know some developers that use them massively.
So wait a minute, you don't even have to be logged in nor to use that?
Oh, no.
You can use it on any website you go to?
Any website you go to.
Okay, that's cool.
Because you can find out the underside, and that's the thing about the internet. You can find out exactly everything that they're using to produce that website. You can go up and you can hit view page source and bring up all the code that page is. And
that is really
you
cool.
can go pick through their site and figure out what plugins they're using. Like they're using on this website here from Fluent CRM, they're using a plugin called Guten Post Layout Pro, whatever that is. So you can go see whatever. There's ways to hide it, but it's not 100%. There's always ways to find out what's going, because eventually the content has to be rendered on a computer's browser, and to render the content, it has to show the code.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. So yeah, there's really nothing hidden. It's been like that since the beginning of the internet. So I miss the days when it was much easier to read the code. Now it's a whole lot harder. But
so should I ask this last question or say it for next week?
No. Oh yeah, okay. Well, caching. Let's take caching next week, because caching is a discussion unto itself.
All right.
And it'll give me more time to prepare for the caching, because there's so many forms of caching. I touched on a couple here tonight, today. I touched on a couple here today, and we also touched on the caching when I was discussing plugin back a little while ago.
Yeah.
See, that's where my brain goes. It's all gone. So anyway, we will have caching and a little more for next week's episode. And so what do we got here? We got a question from Hemdian popped up. If you opened a page in a browser, right-click the part in question and choose Inspect from the pop-up menu, you should then see all the CSS classes that apply and what is overriding what.
Really?
You're right, Hemdian.
That's cool.
To most extents. Sometimes what's really funny is, I don't know if I'll be able to do it here. You can go here, Inspect. I'll bring up an element, and it brings it up, and it shows this element here is all the way down here, and this is the CSS. But sometimes there's even closer CSS. When we expand this out, there's even closer CSS that can be applied, which overrides anything. They don't have any CSS applied here, but the BR tag, which is at a closer level than the H1 tag, has CSS applied to it. And this CSS will override any CSS up the line. And it's just, it's an incredible complex how CSS works, in that it is a hierarchy, and the hierarchy goes the closest item to the closest CSS code that is applied to the item in question is what overrides everything before it, unless of course somewhere back in the back somewhere somebody used the important tag. And if they use the important tag, impotent tag, I'm impotent. Yeah, that didn't sound very good. That's all right. Use the important tag. That important tag overrides everything else down the line, and you have to figure out where they did that. So CSS is a joy and a curse at the same time. Anyway.
So before we stop, if you pull that up and on any site, can you do stuff to people's sites?
No.
No.
You can only do it locally on your computer. But so you can change anything locally on your computer, and then you can screenshot it and say their site had this, which is the source of so many memes and false bits of news.
All right.
Because on your local computer, you can change that text to be anything you want. You can change their headlines. You can do anything you want by editing the code and then just having it change and display.
Okay.
It's really quite entertaining sometimes. I watch my kids do it all the time. So but yeah, you can't change their site at its source, so nobody else sees it but you.
That's good to know.
But it is a good way for you to figure out what's going on with a site. You develop what you want. You make sure you save that information into a text file as you're working, and you've got the CSS code already written, and then you copy and paste it into the CSS area of the new WordPress editor. Not editor. What the hell is it called? The customizer, WordPress customizer, the WordPress customizer. The interesting thing about using CSS, the WordPress customizer is at the very bottom end of the hierarchy. It's at the closest to the hierarchy you can get. So if you put CSS in the customizer, it overrides any other CSS from themes or plugins or any other places CSS comes from.
Really?
Because your CSS can come from multiple places on your website too. It can come from your theme, it can come from plugins, it can come from customized areas inside certain themes. It can come from customized areas inside pages. And it can come from customized areas inside the functions file. There's lots of places CSS can come from. But the CSS put into the WordPress customizer is the final stop. At least that's what I found. So.
Oh, that's cool. Thank you.
All right. All right, well, we'll wrap it up with that. Appreciate everyone tuning in for the show. We had quite a few tune in today. I was greatly appreciative of that, so thank you very much. And if you want more of this, feel free to leave comments below on the YouTube channel, and we will try to answer things or try to bring them onto the show. We're always up for comments on the YouTube channel. Feel free to jump in and chat when we're doing live and give us questions and answers. So
yeah, more questions are always welcome.
Absolutely. So that's all we got for you. I will carry us out of here with, what else do I got here? This is it. This works.
Get out of my vagina!
Take care now. Bye-bye.
Take care.